can at least do a prayer, okay, till he comes. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This particular Upanishad comes from the Samaveda, and the Samaveda also has its own prayer. We can chant that as we wait for Shuddhatma ji. If Shuddhatma ji is already here, please show yourself so we can give you the space to do your magic. Not here yet. Okay. So this, every Veda comes with some Shanti mantras. These are already set. Why? Because we have to have this is part of the Vedic culture. There are two reasons. One is this is part of the Vedic culture, is that here a prayer, there a prayer, everywhere prayer, prayer. That is how everything begins. There is zero distinction between the so-called sacred and secular things that comprise most other religions. This distinction is not there in the Hindu tradition, in the Vaidika tradition, because Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam. Everything is sacred. What you like, sacred. What you don't like, even more sacred. What is dear to you, sacred. What is not dear to you, sacred. In-law, sacred. Outlaw, even more sacred. Everything is sacred. The whole Jagat is a manifestation of the Lord. And so, the first reason to start with the prayer is to acknowledge that. We are just acknowledging what already is, not trying to do anything else. So the first reason to start with the prayer is that's how it is. You start with the prayer, in the middle there is prayer, in the end there is prayer. So much so that even a book of sutras like the Ashtadhyayi starts with a prayer. Sutra means it should be alpaksharam. Alpaksharam means it should not have anything irrelevant. And even in that, Panini, the great, puts in a prayer. Vriddhiradaich, first sutra. Double meaning. Let there be, let there be vriddhi. Let this book be, first of all, come to a conclusion. Let it be famous. See, all other, there were 9 forms of grammar. All other forms of grammar we don't know much about them, but this one we do know. Panini, his prayer has worked, it means. And the last sutra is also a prayer. And in the middle, when he discusses the karakas, the different case endings and how they work, and describing the 5th case, the ablative case, which uses prepositions such as of and from. He gives a beautiful sutra, Dhruvam apaye apadanam. So that which comes, that variable thing which comes from the invariable is uses the 5th case. Like vrikshat phalam patati, the fruit falls from the tree. So the falling fruit is the one that is moving. The chalanatmakam is the one that moves, falls, grows big, and then finally ripens and falls off the tree. And leads to the law of gravity when it falls on Newton's head. This is what the fruit is doing. The fruit is active and the tree is dhruvam, still. And that is again a nod, a salute to Ishvara in the form of that stillness, who, without acting, without going here, going there, going anywhere, manifests the entire Jagat of names and forms. So beautiful. So that is what the culture is. Even in a very strict sutra book, sutra grammar book, there is a, which has to have all specific things. There are very strict rules about how the sutras have to be crafted. And even there he manages to slip in not one but three prayers, one at the beginning, one at the end, one at the middle. This is the beauty and the glory of our culture. So it is, so the Veda, which is a book of prayers, which is a book of what should I say, which is a book of prayers and the knowledge of the self combined, Veda and Vedanta, also has prayer. The second reason for the prayer to be there is because there are many things over which we don't have any say. Forget control, we don't have any say at all. This is a fact. You think that we think we are the actors, we are the agent, but other than choosing what brand, mundane things like what brand of toothpaste shall I use, that is where our choices lie. Our choices are limited to that. What brand of toothpaste shall I use? You know, and so this is, at that level. But then there is a when it comes to things that matter, we have no say at all. And studying something like the Veda, whether we are talking of the first portion of the Veda, which is a treatise on desire fulfillment, which is totally putting the people on the path of dharma, on the path of following that which is correct, that which is important, that which is right, and that which is right for you, swadharma, which is appropriate, vishesha dharma, samanya dharma, that which is universally correct. So it puts the person on a diet of dharma from where one can prepare for the knowledge. So the first portion of the Veda, preparation, and the last portion of the Veda, that for which the preparation has been done life after life, sometimes over the course of many lives, sometimes the preparation is done, and this preparation culminates in the study of the Shastra, the truth of oneself. So, as we can see, at every place there are landmines of pitfalls. Following dharma, for example, who wants to follow dharma? Nobody, really. Nobody wants to follow dharma, or I should say, everybody wants other people to follow dharma when it comes to them. That is why it becomes the first purushartha. Without being necessarily kind, generous, reaching out to help, polite, giving, I want other people to be kind, accommodative, generous, and giving to me. That is why dharma becomes the first purushartha. It becomes the first purushartha because it is indirectly ishtam. It is indirectly desired. Nobody is jumping to say, I want to be the best dharmic person ever. In fact, one is dragged kicking and screaming to follow the dharma. But the first, and that's why there are many, many pitfalls. The ends justify the means. The pressure of the raga dveshas makes one tempted to cross dharma again and again. Therefore, the prayer, second reason for the prayer. And if one is studying Vedanta, don't think that one is free of prayers. In fact, there is no mukti without bhakti, and after mukti, there is nothing other than bhakti. This is the truth. After mukti, there is only bhakti, because the whole world is Ishvara. You are non-separate from Ishvara. Anything else is Ishvara, and you know that the body is Ishvara, mind is Ishvara, everything is Ishvara. So the attitude towards the world is one of sheer devotion. And so therefore the the Shastra speaks to a mind that is ready, number one, and number two, to a mind that is open and free of the hold of desires, to a mind that is discerning, has viveka, and to a mind that has vairagya. Vairagya means the ability to let go the being caught in the loop of action and its fruits. Karma phala loop. It's a vicious cycle. I keep doing something in order to get something out of it, and then of course I don't get what I want out of it, and then what happens? I just let go of that and then do something else. Keep doing, keep doing, keep doing. That is the problem. And therefore, what happens is that this loop, to come out of it, takes great discernment. Discernment, viveka. Discernment between what I really want, we'll talk more about that, and then what I have to let go of in order to get what I want. What you want is you, really. What you want is the lovable, compassionate you. And I'm being told Shuddhatmaji is here. Yes, yes, please come, do your magic. Yeah. Namaste. यू आर म्यूटेड शुद्धात्मा जी. आप अनम्यूट कीजिए अपने आप को. हाँ. Still muted.
Still muted, huh?
Mute.
There. No?
Still muted.
Hello.
Good.
Is it clear now,
Very clear.
Swaminiji?
Very clear. Very happy to
Do you
see
hear
you.
me?
Very well.
Okay,
As
namaste.
though you were next door.
Pranam Swaminiji and
Om.
Om. Good evening to all of you on behalf of the Gurukulam. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you for President Day retreat, virtual retreat conducted by Swaminiji. Schedule is already given to you, and I don't want to waste time on that because you might have already seen the schedule. Few things in addition to the classes, whatever Swamiji has been conducting, we have been also live streaming every day morning puja before the meditation. It begins at 5:45 a.m. for duration of 1 hour. And in the evening also we have puja at 5:30 p.m. So if you find some time during this camp, you can always uh, go to our YouTube and you will see our live streaming programs. Then what can I say? I once again thank Swaminiji for accepting our invitation to conduct these virtual classes for all of you. You're all fortunate that she has accepted this to do it. It's really, I mean, she has to uh, put extra mile because it's Indian time difference is there, and but still Swamini is very happy to do all this for us. Swaminiji, thank you very much for this. And what can I say? Swaminiji is always, Swamiji's classes are full of education and of course logical and filled with a lot of fun and humor. So you will get everything in Swaminiji's talk. So please enjoy this retreat and get the full advantage of it. So only one request Swaminiji has made to all of you: don't be doing multitasking. So that will not allow you to focus on the subject matter. So just be with the subject matter and take the fullest advantage of this camp. Thank you, Swaminiji, for accepting our invitation. And I'm sure all will go well. More people show up tomorrow.
Thank you, Shuddhatmaji.
Thank you and enjoy. And we'll see you again before the camp. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time and coming and gracing us with your presence.
No problem.
No camp can
Thank
start
you.
without you there. So I'm glad that you came today.
Thank you.
Om.
Please, Swaminiji, continue
Okay.
your satsang and what.
Yes. So we have Viveka, discernment, Vairagya, the discernment between that which is finite and that which is infinite. Finite, everybody knows. The definition of finite is not hard because the definition of finite is like this: that which seems really fine is finite at first. At first, it seems wonderful and fine, and as soon as you pursue it, it is gone. Jayate gacchati iti jagat. That which is born is gone. Is born is gone. Jagat. So anything in the jagat that seems fine is actually, you have to add one ite there, finite. And then what does that leave? The one that is looking at the jagat, namely you. Maybe I'm also finite. Well, that is something to be looked into, because if you are finite, then how come you crave that infinitude? How come you want to quote unquote be infinite? Well, I never told you I want to be infinite. Well, you may not have said that, but it is very evident in the pursuit itself. Because in the pursuit, one wants forever. I always say, even the person who is getting married for the fifth marriage, in the vows they will say, this time it is forever. What about the other 4 times? No, don't bring up the past. Right now, this marriage should be forever. and you tell somebody tells you, I got a job. The first question, is it permanent? Especially in India, is it permanent? And marriage is seen as permanent, job is seen as permanent, and then children are seen as permanently listening to you from the standpoint of the parents, permanently obedient. And this is the state of affairs. This is what the whole thing is. That this is what we mean by the karma and karma phala loop, like a hamster. You know those little, what are they called? Little rats. And you don't want to say, I'm keeping a rat as a pet. So they are given glorious names. Guinea pig. You know, it's not a pig at all. It's a small, furry, white rat. And then hamster, another kind of rat. And then in order, they are in cages, poor thing. And then in order to keep them entertained, there is one wheel. And they just keep going round and round. They get exercise, and then they are also entertaining themselves and entertaining you. And looking at them, you laugh and you say, everybody laughs. And you say, hey, you know, look at them. They don't know that they are not going anywhere. But what are the people in the Jagat doing? Other than the sabha here that is attending the classes, most of the people in the in the Jagat are peddling in place, going round and round. That is because the goal that is there for human life, embodied by the final purushartha, moksha purushartha, is not understood. Why? Because one is totally busy. Two reasons it's not understood: because the moksha is centered on oneself and it is a siddha vastu, it is already accomplished, one is already free. No matter how constrained and completely caught one feels. First reason one doesn't know, because it is centered on you and you are the subject, you cannot objectify yourself. So you are not locally available as an object to point to. Therefore, it is not understood. It is centered on you. Second reason why it is not understood is because one is very busy. Busy in the Jagat, trying to make the finite infinite. All the things in the Jagat one wants to make infinite, starting with one's own body. See, so many berries have come into the market. This berry, that berry, because one is now into antioxidants. And this antioxidants is making the berries very, very scarce. Very, very scarce. And all this, some acai berry comes from Brazil, it's good for the eyes, something else is good for the skin, something else, all these antioxidants. It's a race against time. Lord Yama is not worried. He just will slip into a Starbucks and then have a little coffee break, but he will still come for the body. We can just elongate something, starting with the lifespan. That much free will is there, that much things in the Jagat are there to harvest, to imbibe, and to elongate the lifespan. That's all that you can do. Not much else is possible. But still, one wants to make the finite infinite. So the finite body wants to be made infinite. And the mind, of course, is finite. How do you know? Because the only thing we can say about the mind is never mind. That's the only thing we can say for sure. And that is, one doesn't remember anything. One doesn't remember what one had for breakfast 1 week ago, let alone anything else. And so this is also finite. Mind is finite. But again, there are some more berries to improve the memory and to do all this. And this is, I think our rishis knew that at some point in Kali Yuga we will be after berries. That's why in the Mundaka Upanishad, the picture of the two birds, and what is one of them doing? One of them is Ishvara bird sitting put right there in the same tree, which is the body mind sense complex, and the other one is the so called separated, so called alienated Jiva bird. And what is the Jiva bird doing? Even from long time ago, going after berries. Our rishis knew this. That is why they had that example, must have had that example right from the start. So this karma phala loop, in short, this hamster's wheel is the definition of samsara. Samyak sarati, it keeps moving without your help, it keeps going. You think I'll just try to change one small thing, and that small thing ends up into a series of actions, and then a series of results of actions that you can no longer control. It just goes out of hand, and one is caught, one is sad, because that's not what one wants, that's not what one wants to do, that's not where one is. But so therefore one is like this hamster, going round and round. Why? Because if the goal, which is oneself, is not known, one goes goal in life. Goal in Hindi means round and round. This is what happens. If the goal is missed, and as this Upanishad, the Kenopanishad itself is going to say, famous mantra, ihaiva ched avedit atha satyamasti. If one knows the truth of oneself as the whole, as Brahman, as Bhagavan, iha eva, here itself, while living in this body, then one's existence is justified. Satyamasti, one can call oneself as existent. One can say, I have done the work for which I was incarnated. And then what if I don't know? Because the human mind goes like this. Always there is koti dvayam, two choices are there. So what if I don't know? What if I choose not to know? Nachediha avedin, nachediha avedit, mahati vinashtihi. If you don't know the infinite, the loss of the infinite is an infinite loss. If you don't know yourself as infinite, it is an infinite loss. It's better to be the seeker of the infinite than an infinite seeker. It is very important. If one is a seeker of the infinite being you, the kripa of Bhagavan and Guru being there, the Shastra being there, the quest is finite. If you are seeking the infinite, the quest is always finite, because upaya asti. Upaya is there. Remedies are there. For self-ignorance, Upanishad is given. But if you don't know this, then it's a very costly mistake. You don't know that there is a black hole, and that a very big black hole lies in the center of our own galaxy, Milky Way. And that when two galaxies meet, there is no meeting, one eats the other. Yeah, eat, greet and eat. That is how the two galaxies interact. And in fact, there is one bada galaxy right next to us called Andromeda. So when this Andromeda encroaches and comes, closer to the Milky Way, don't worry, it is just million years away, millions of years away. It is something that the astronomers have forecast, that it is going to come on top of this galaxy, and the black holes are going to merge, and the flying wings of the galaxies, they'll have a big cacophonic several hundred years before they all become all comely and become one galaxy. Suppose you didn't know that. Nothing is lost. So many people died away without knowing even their own anatomy. What is ailing? Nothing. What did I die of in the last life? I don't know. What some people died away without knowing, as Pujya Swamiji would often give the example, without knowing their own backs even. Because in those days, in ancient India, there was just enough of a polished surface to keep the tilakam. That was it. One keeps the tilakam, and then that's it. Because this tilakam is an acknowledgement to, it's an energy center here, an acknowledgement to the being within, from whom I am needlessly separated because of my own existence. To the tilakam, that's how there was small mirror. Nobody had these full length mirrors, just like they have in hotel rooms and bathrooms and walk-in closets in homes, contemporary homes. So Pujya Swamiji would give this example. Many people died away without even seeing their backs, seeing their, what their back looks like. And the back just follows you. It has your back until it doesn't, that's all. And then this is what the whole thing is. Not much of a loss. Black hole, I don't know. ठीक है, no problem. I don't know how the vertebrae function. It's okay. It's not a big loss. I don't know who I am. Very big loss. Because you are the infinite. If you don't know you, then it's the biggest loss ever. Nachediha avedit. Mahati vinashtihi. But somehow, because of that self-ignorance, one morphs into becoming not the seeker of the infinite, but an infinite seeker. Seeking infinitely, getting exhausted, trying to make the finite infinite, trying to custom order samsara into giving you happiness, trying to milk samsara into giving you some contentment. This is the problem. And so this is the orientation of the person setting foot into the second portion of the Veda, that is Vedanta. This is the problem. Setting foot into the second portion of the Veda, this is what happens. These notions, these orientations, viparita bhavana, habitual orientations. Because it's become a habit that to think that I am the doer, I am the shaker and the mover of not only my own life but the whole world. This is the effect of a pervasive delusion and self ignorance. This is what the problem is. And so this orientation has to drop. There is a lot of gap between the first portion of the Veda, which puts you on a diet of dharma, which gives you small prayers, hymns, suktas, everything to make life okay, to keep life going within samsara. Think of how kind Mother Shruti is. She doesn't yank you out of there and give you a spanking and put you in the second portion of the Veda. No. She is relaxed enough to let you grow out of the first portion of the Veda, like a compassionate mother who doesn't snatch the security blankie off the baby until it is ready to let it go. In fact, the mother will give the security blankie. Here, take. It makes you feel better, take. And then, security blankie in one hand, teddy bear in another hand, then the child goes to sleep. But as the child grows, it becomes more curious about the world around itself, and then it catches on to other things, and the security blanket at first, has infrequent usage until it is totally forgotten. Still, the mother will wash it and put it in the attic just in case the child is not completely outgrown it. So, Mother Shruti is like that. She waits watches for you to gently grow out of the addiction to the finite, gently grow out of the addiction to the pursuit of the finite. And in fact, while she's doing that, she will even help you. She will help you get what you want in samsara as long as you're thinking, I am the doer. I am the karta. As long as you're convinced, she doesn't dislodge this violently, this notion. She keeps you going. Here, what is it that you want to pursue? I want to be better than everybody else. As a student, okay, study and chant Medha Suktam. This is for brilliance. Don't undercut other people's chances. Don't try to plagiarize somebody else's stuff. Follow dharma, chant Medha Suktam, and then you will shine. Shine with your own merit and brilliance. So this way, the person slowly grows into getting ready and dropping the security blanket of this endless chain of controlling karma, karma phala, karma, karma phala, karma, karma phala, karma, karma phala. This is, which is a very frustrating thing, extremely frustrating cycle. And so what? So this is, even though one slowly gets, because of the Shruti, one slowly gets acclimatized to the understanding that there is something other than just trying to fulfill my desires. There is something more to life than just trying to keep on accomplishing something I don't have. Yoga and protecting what I have. Kshema. Yoga, Kshema, pursuits, there must be something more than that. There must be something more, that is to discover there is a sense of discontent here. No matter what I get, I am not happy. No matter what I have, I cannot protect, which leaves me discontented and unhappy. This is the situation. And so the old orientations of kartritva bhoktritva, meaning the doership and experiencership, first I become a karta, doer, and then I become a bhokta, experiencer of the results of action, and then that the cycle continues in this manner infinitely. So this orientation has to drop. There is a very big bridge one has to cross. It's like a leap of Hanumanji. You have to make a quantum leap from the orientation to doing to the desire to know the self. You cannot do the self. Why? Because the doer is the self. You cannot, self is not something to be accomplished because it is Svata Siddha. That's why I keep asking the question in every retreat that I teach, the first class. I will always ask the question, are you here? And in the beginning, people think, okay, this must be a trick question. But then when I ask seriously, they are forced to say, yes, I am here. How do you know you are here? I know without asking anybody. Without looking at my birth certificate, I know I am. No proof is needed. It's a unproven I because it is a proofless I. It is an I that is Svata Siddha, self-evident, self-effulgent I that doesn't need a proof. If I ask you, are you free to meet tomorrow? Then you will have to say, I have to ask the significant other. Then I will come back and tell you. But are you here? Yes. How do you know? I just know. Are you here? Yes. Sat. Existence. I am existent. How do you know I am? Chit. Sat Chit. And then how long are you here? Oh, until the class finishes. Yes, but then do you stop existing? No. I am, I am, I am, I am, until you go to sleep. Then also in sleep also I am, but that I am is not broadcast to the world and to yourself, because the mind is asleep in a causal state. And then when you wake up, I had a very good sleep. When do you notice? When you wake up, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. I am never ends. Ananda, Ananta. And this is what has to be understood. And think of all the obstacles that can come, the hidden variables. Because this is not something that is the matter of self knowledge, is not something to read in a book. Why? Why can't I read? There are some wonderful translations. I can just buy one translation, like the kind that has been assigned for this class, and then I can just read the book. Why not just read the book? I should be able to read. Well, you can read, yes. And the translations are also maybe wonderful. Granted. But you bring something along with you when you read. And what is that something? You bring your own infrastructure of hopelessness, exhaustion with the world and with yourself, raga, dvesha, strong preferences, strong prejudices. All this comes as a baggage and puts a veritable cataract on the vision of the reader. In other words, your own infrastructure comes in the way of imbibing the message of the Upanishads, imbibing the message that you are Brahman. The infrastructure together is called pratibhasika subjectivity. That is the subjectivity that comes. There is a cataract of subjectivity. And so the words sometimes are double. You see two lines instead of one. This is what is called a vision of division, which one has before one enters the Shastra. Sometimes the words are foggy. There is vagueness with reference to self-knowledge that is read in the book. And then sometimes you don't know what you're reading. And if you don't have the correct pair of glasses, you know, the I and the L look alike. You can't even see the dot of the I. And then one is confused. There is doubt. And then one makes a mistake in reading. There is error. So the doubt, vagueness and error comes from, not from the book being flawed, but from there being an inhibited veil. The veil of inhibitions, pun intended, covering, as it were, one's vision. So even though the Shastra is directly accessible, there is a warning in the very Shastra itself to not study this by oneself. Brahmanveshanam, an inquiry into Brahman, Adi Shankara says, na kuryat, may not be made, swatantriyena, by oneself. Oh, then I should have a study group. I should gather a few people and read together. Again, that will be gathering a lot more notions and delusions together and then reading along with that. So it's not just one pair of cataracts, it's 10 pairs of cataracts. It's not going to help with the clarity. Therefore, what? Enter the teacher. Ajnana timirandhasya ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namaha unto that teacher. And what did the teacher do? Teacher who, taking the ointment of knowledge, in the olden days, they perhaps had an ointment, an eye ointment, Anjana. Anjana means something that is sticky. Eye ointment, which was a remedy for cataract. Perhaps they had that. So, spinning off on this, the author gives a beautiful metaphor here of the teacher of Vedanta applying the eye ointment. And here, the ointment is not an ointment for the physical cataract, but for the cataract of ajnanam, the metaphorical, figurative cataract of self ignorance. For whom? For the ajnana timirandhaha tasya. For the one that is suffering with a vision of division because of the cataract of delusion, duality, samsara, which are all spin offs and broods of self ignorance. The person is suffering from that, and then suffering from the cataract of self ignorance. What is happening? The person is crying, angry, upset, discontented, afraid. And the teacher applies the ointment of the Upanishad, knowledge, Jnananjana Shalakaya, and with a scalpel of knowledge removes the cataract, makes the person see clearly the Jagat as Ishvara, oneself as Ishvara, and thereby dispelling this notion of duality. That which I thought was the ocean of samsara is determined now to just be a notion of samsara. The one who wields the pramana. The pramana here is the scalpel, is the teacher, Guru, and this Guru operates the scalpel. Pramana means the ways in which the Upanishad is delivered, converting the words of the book into a live means of knowledge, which is then imbibed by the students. Because the Upanishad is not just words on paper or on the palm leaf manuscripts, or words in the head if you have memorized it. The Upanishad is a means of knowledge to be able to see something, to be able to understand something for which there is no other recourse, no other way of seeing or understanding. It's a means of knowledge in its own right. In its own right, it's a means of knowledge. Just as the eyes see form, shapes, color, the ear hears all the different cadences of sound. The olfactory nerves pick up all the smells from gulab jamun to pakodas, everything is picked up. Just like that, the Upanishad is a means of knowledge in its own right to help you see that self as Bhagavan, which cannot be objectified, because the objectifier is the self. It cannot be seen because the seer is the self. It cannot be stumbled upon because we are talking about the nature, the truth of the stumbler, the one who is stumbling. It cannot be intuited because we are talking of the one who is understands oneself as having some intuition or another. It cannot be inferred because the self is not available as an object for logic. I exist, therefore I am mortal. One can say somebody said that. All beings are mortal. Socrates is a being. Socrates is mortal. You can, this is not the, all beings are Satchidananda. I am a human being, I am Satchidananda. You cannot do that. I am a being, I am Satchidananda. It's not available for logic. It has to be understood as you, and it is not away from you. Look at all these paradoxes. It has to be understood as you. It's not away from you. Yet one pines for that self in the form of all kinds of things, situations, people, etc. Anything that you long for is yourself. Anything that you want is yourself, is the truth of yourself. And if this is not known, the longing morphs into a need to belong to the universe, to people, a need to be needed, a need to belong. This is the longing. The longing is to see that I am the whole, that I am already the source of contentment forever. I am the source of all knowledge. I am one with the source of the universe. I am not alienated from anything. That is what is there to see. How are you going to see this? By reading a book? By reading two books? Good luck. That's all one has to say. You know, have a wonderful time. And then maybe the book will help you get a PhD. You read it closely and then write a concordance of the Upanishad. How many times the word Tat appears? Who cares? Do you know what Tat means? That is what is more important than how many times it appears. So the reading will only get you so far. Why? Because you are very much there when you read, and that infrastructure which you bring along with a cataract of self-ignorance and the resultant delusion about oneself. I'm as good as this body, I'm no good, I'm not accomplished, I have insecurity, I have fear, I'm subject to sorrow. All these notions trail along and put a shadow on the message that is to come. No, but I managed fine in school and college. I could read and understand everything. Yeah, because the subject matter of school and college and all other branches of knowledge, from from black hole to a small microscopic being like the coronavirus, comes under what is called relative knowledge, aparavidya, non absolute. It is a branch that is away, other than you. It will always be other than you. Like Pujya Swamiji used to say, the person who, a microbiology professor teaching microbiology for 20 years, does not come into class one day, does not scurry into class with 6 legs and a pair of proboscis. Why? Everybody is looking for the teacher. The teacher is a cockroach, coming into the class, scurrying into the class, and then climbing up onto the desk. Why? Because the teacher was so devoted to his or her subject matter that microbe, and then that teacher became an insect, teacher became a microbe. No, not possible. Not possible. No matter how long the person teaches or studies, the person will be the person. Person will be the same thing. Separate from what you teach, separate from what you study. And in fact, one wants to be one with what one studies, but still one is separate. One gets moments of oneness where your hypothesis coalesce with what there is and you discover Ishvara. You're not one with the subject matter, you're one with Ishvara at that time. That's why, Jnananande Brahmananda. This one, Panchadashi says that in the love of knowledge is really the joy that is Brahman. But really, again, after you stop studying or writing one book, it's gone. Then another book, that's also gone. But what you want is that which is lasting. And so here, only in this knowledge we can say Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. The knower of Brahman, Brahmavit, is what? Brahman alone. Knower of Brahman is nothing other than Brahman. And therefore, this is something to be understood. You cannot understand that the knower of Brahman is nothing other than Brahman. So therefore, the teacher has to walk in. Why? Because you have to walk out. Oh, I have to disappear. You have to disappear as the pramata, as I am the knower. That notion is to be dropped. This is the difference between aparavidya, knowledge of objects, paravidya, the knowledge of the subjects. In the knowledge of the objects, the ahankara, the I notion, is sitting on the throne of knowership. I know, I know, I know. And in India, we have this habit of saying, I know all the time. I know, I know, I know, me, I know. And you ask anything, and then somebody asks you something, and then as soon as you start explaining, immediately they say, I know. So this, the one who is keeping, won't shut up, the one who keeps on saying, I know, has to be dismantled. That knowledge which knocks off the knower is what is being talked about here. Then otherwise we don't have non-duality. If the knower-known separation is always there, worshipper-worshipped separation is always there. Where is the non-duality? Where is Advaita? Advaita hanihi. There is a loss of non-duality. So if non-duality has to come into the picture, you have to see that the difference between the knower and the known is an as though difference. That which is known is non-separate from I, the knower. And the knower status is also a variable status. Because in sleep, what do you know? You don't even know you are asleep in real time. In sleep, that's why the individual is called prajna, prakarshena ajna. So what do you know in sleep? Zero, nothing at all. In sleep you don't know anything, and then you don't know anything at all, but then afterwards you recognize it. So in sleep the knower is knocked off, but that is accidentally because the mind goes into a causal state. But in the waking state, the notion I am the knower is very much rampant. So present, so rampant, so much there. And this is what has to be understood. This is what has to be understood, that this knower known and means of knowledge, I see, I know this because I saw it with my own eyes. The eyes become karana, means of knowledge. I am the knower, I operate the eyes, and then whatever I see becomes the object of knowledge. So the object-subject difference is mithya. More about that later, is an as though difference. For now, just take the meaning as though difference. It's an as though difference. And this as though difference has to be mitigated, has to be neutralized. So, therefore, this means of knowledge is different, because whereas the other means of knowledge, sight, hearing, what we call pratyaksha pramanani, the means of knowledge which have direct perception, inference, one step inference, anumana, more than one step inference, arthapatti, comparison. Like you see some animal and then you say, oh, that just looks like a buffalo. No, but it is not, it's a bison. Comparison, upama, and then the knowledge of absence of a particular thing in a particular location. Karatale ghataha nasti. In the palm of my hand there is no pot. There is no pot in the palm of my hand. Karatale ghataha na asti is not there. All this, these are all various means of knowledge which you as the pramata operates and feels good about the world, putting things in categories, boxes, and then labeling everything and keeping it aside. This one no good, that one little bit good, that one bad. So we already have good, bad box, and then we have other naming box. This is that, that is this. Put people into boxes, things into boxes, bodies of knowledge into boxes. In fact, one that puts everything into boxes has to be boxed off by the Upanishad, has to be boxed out of the equation. That is what is here. The pramata, the knower, has to be made so confused. So that's why when you study this Upanishad and you are confused, that means it is having an effect, because it just makes the mind into a salad of just cut up notions. It cuts up the notions and then tosses it all about. That is what happens to the mind. And that's exactly the Upanishad operating the means of knowledge. And that's why this means of knowledge you don't operate. Just like cataract surgery. That's why some anesthesia is given for any surgery, maybe not cataract, but other surgeries, anesthesia is given. And they tell you so that you don't get freaked out and you are not in pain. But actually, it helps the doctor also, it helps the surgeon also. Otherwise, imagine if there was some way they could stop the pain and you were conscious on the operation table. You will be coming in the way of the surgery to take out a tumor or whatever it is that doesn't belong. You will tell the doctor, are you sure that's the correct size scalpel? Oh, where are you cutting? I think it's too high. Maybe the pain is little lower. You'll be interfering in the surgery. This also is not less than a surgery of removing notions of samsara that lace the vision and cause it to see duality everywhere. And so you have to allow yourself to be operated upon by the words of the Upanishad, handled by the teacher. Allowing oneself to be operated upon in our parlance is called Shraddha. That is what it is. Having an open mind so that the notions don't come in the way. And the Upanishad, as we will see, this very Upanishad has its own way of dismissing the notions. Then, then when the teacher comes into the picture, other, fears can crop up. Oh no, is this a cult? It's not a cult. It's just the culture of Guru Parampara. That's all it is. Cult means it is based on a single individual. A worship of a single individual, where the individual is using all the people around him or her as, as a, what should I say, as a supply, as an emotional supply to stay alive. So the people are being exploited so that the leader can feel good about himself, herself. And there is always a big divide between the leader and the cult followers. And they're all believers here. There is nothing to believe. It is something to see, something to internalize. But if that is not understood and there are orientations and hurts from past authority figures, immediately the guru becomes suspect. And as soon as the word guru is said, hives start come up. There is guru allergy. one needs an antidote, as it were. And so all this has to be resolved. How to do that? There's a lot of, there's a lot of grace from Bhagavan. And Guru Kripa, Shastra Kripa, Atma Kripa, one has to have an open mind, one has to give oneself the permission to study and dare to trust the Guru, even though the original trust in the primary caregivers, yes, that was not a mistake, I said that on purpose, the primary caregivers has been, has been, the trust has been betrayed by the primary caregivers. The trust has been betrayed, but still one has to dare to trust again. One has to dare to trust one more time, because not trusting is a greater danger than trusting. In fact, the person wants to trust. These are again all other notions coming in the way. You see why the prayer is needed for every Upanishad? Look at all the things that have to be surmounted. We cannot do it on our own. That is why we pray. This Upanishad, this Upanishad belongs to the Samaveda, and so the Samaveda has its own Shanti mantra. And if you open the first page of the whatever text was sent, you can look at it. If you don't have it or cannot access it, does not matter. In the next class, I will give you one here in the chat box itself so that you can immediately open it. Right now, I didn't come prepared to do that, but so you can just listen to the chant and chant softly along with me if you know this. ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. So we pray here. Mama angani apyayantu, protect all the body parts, O Lord. Because without the body parts, how can I study? The body has to cooperate. If somebody has to keep going to the bathroom every 5 minutes during the class, it's a very big problem. Body has to cooperate. And then the organs of action, bless them. Vak, and the organs of action, the sense organs. It should be right at the beginning. Organs of actions, sense organs, all of them, may they cooperate for enlightening me about the truth of my own nature. Apyayantu mama angani, all the organs of actions, vak, prana, eyes, ears, jnanendriya, karmendriya, sense organs, organs of actions. And then let these organs gain in strength. Let them be healthy and strong. Why? Why should I pray like this? Sarvam Brahmaupanishadam. All that is here is Aupanishadam, Upanishadi, Praptam. Everything that is here is Brahman. And that Brahman is known only through the Upanishad. That Brahman, Ishvara, is known, everything is Ishvara, and that Ishvara is known only through the Upanishad. And therefore what? The prayer is so beautiful. Ma aham, may I never, Brahma nirakuryam, may I not reject Ishvara, may I not reject the truth of myself. Why will anyone reject Ishvara? Rejection of Ishvara can happen because of ignorance, ajnanam, or rejection of Ishvara can happen because of anyatha jnanam, taking Ishvara to be some concept of a guy in the sky, and I reject that concept of Ishvara. some guy sitting in the sky making us suffer in this jagat and repairing to a place called heaven free of bugs and bugging people. What kind of situation is this? So therefore, may I not reject Brahman, because rejection of Brahman is tantamounts to self-rejection. Rejection of Brahman is rejection of the I. Maham Brahma nirakuryam. Mama Brahma nirakarot. May Brahman not reject me. Brahman is you. How will Brahman reject you? Ishvara is you. Again in the concept. Oh, I did something I was not supposed to, and so I'm guilty, and therefore maybe Ishvara is angry with me. We go to the temple also with the same idea, our own subjectivity. You go in standing right in front of the Lord. Today he looks a little annoyed. you know he is the same as yesterday, he is the same as tomorrow, but in one's mind there is this feeling he looks a little annoyed. Oh, today is happy. He's happy. Why? Because he dropped a flower. I came and stood in front of him and he dropped a flower. Lord Dakshinamurti dropped a flower. These are all, they dropped the flower, yes, objective, but subjective, therefore he is happy. This is one's own, superimposition, if we can call it, one's own projection onto the Lord. So the Lord is angry with me, the Lord is not giving me what I want. All these things can lead to a feeling of alienation, and so may I not have that rejection. May I not reject Ishvara. Anirakaranam astu. Let there be no rejection on any side. And this is the Jiva's hallmark. From age 2 to age 92, once one begins with no, the first words even before Amma, Appa, what is learnt is no. No, I won't do it. No, this is not happening. And the 2-year-old, it is appropriate for it to say no, because it's, checking out the world and its place in it. But at 92, by the time one reaches from 2 to 92, one has to start saying yes to the world, yes to people, yes to Ishvara, yes to everything. Of course, on the empirical level, there is need for healthy boundaries. I'm not saying become a doormat. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not saying become a doormat and, do this or that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, there is something there about saying yes to opportunities in life, to people, to situations, rather than that no which comes from the apasmara within, that inner child that is already having a shield of defense. Anirakaranam astu, let there be no negation anywhere starting with the intentions of my heart. Let there be more yeses than no. More yes, more acceptance, more yes, more Ishvara, less of me, less of Ahankara, more of Ishvara. More yes, more accommodation, more yes, more compassion, starting with the self. And so therefore what? This is what the prayer is. Anirakaranam me astu. Let there be no rejection, no negation on any side. Specifically, let there be no negation for me. And then finally, tad atmani nirate ya upanishatsu dharmaha. So for me, who is striving so hard to learn this, to study this, may all the obstacles go. How will the obstacles go? When I apply myself to the studies and then make sure I have all the dharmas, all the attributes of adhikaritvam, the attributes of a fully prepared student, all those attributes, may they abide in me. Te mayi santu, te mayi santu. The repetition is to show that the prayer is over, because in those days they didn't have paragraphs, it was all oral knowledge, all carried in the head. Te mayi santu. All the dharmas. We have already seen two, Viveka, Vairagya. We have seen. The discernment between that which is finite and infinite and the pursuit of the infinite, viveka, discrimination, vairagya, the courage and the ability to drop the penchant for the finite in the wake of this understanding, vairagya, getting out of the loop of karma and karma phala. And then mumukshutvam, the intense desire to be free of this world of duality, notions of duality. And then shamadhi shatka sampattihi, the sixfold qualities that one imbibes, that is just counted as one. Shama, dama, the a resolved mind, organs of actions that learn how to behave, and then organs of actions that learn how to behave, a resolved mind, and then what else? Uparati, willing to let go of the small stuff, not sweating the small stuff all the time. Shraddha, we saw that, the ability to have reverence towards the teacher, the teachings, to be able to have study with an open mind. Shraddha, samadhanam, single-minded focus. That's why the little hint to not multitask as you listen to this. Yeah. Shraddha and samadhanam, this is six pack, is actually one. So let all of them imbibe in me. This is a prayer. We pray to Bhagavan. And then finally we end with three shantis. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Three shantis for threefold obstacles, they say. It's all just one big obstacle anyway, but it is divided from three standpoints. Obstacles over which one has no control. In Zoom classes, suddenly internet going out, no control. You never even expected it. And then you have to scurry, find your phone, and then try, find the Zoom link on the phone, and then re-log in on the phone. All these things are there. This is an obstacle. In between, the message of Tattvamasi Mahavakya has already been taught. What a travesty, right? And so, may that not happen. Adi Daivika Vignani. These are various obstacles centered on Adhideva. Adhideva means centered on acts of Bhagavan which I cannot control. Let there be upashamana for that. Let there be shanti from that. Let me not have anything. Let me not be affected by that. Then Adi Bhautika, from one's own surroundings. Somebody is making noise. You are wanting to listen to class. Somebody is saying, I want your computer. Some family member, I want to see Netflix movie. What are you going to do, So, this way, Adi Bhautika. Bhutanam adhikritya tishtati, centered on the surroundings. Then finally, if all those are okay, then one's own doubts, fears. Am I wasting my time? I have so many other things to do. Why am I getting into this, this retreat? I shouldn't do this. I should not do all these things. So therefore, adhyatmika, atmanam adhikritya tishtati, centered on the I, let there be no internal obstacles to this study. That's why we say Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi 3 times. 3 times. Not because the ancient sages had a lot of leisure and they kept repeating themselves. No. 3 times it said to ward off obstacles from 3 sources over which one doesn't seem to have any say. And this way we begin Mangalam. We begin with a prayer. And when we begin with the prayer, the rest of it goes very well. That is the whole idea. केनेशितं पतति प्रेषितं मनः केनः प्राणः प्रथमं प्रैतियुक्तः केनेशितां वाचमिमां वदन्ति चक्षुश्रोत्रं क उदेवो युनक्ति. The Upanishad begins with a wonderful question. And in that question itself is so much maturity on part of the student. And what does the student ask? And how the teacher responds, we will see in the next class. So we have made a good beginning today. I pray for clarity and joy for everybody. I pray for perseverance. May you continue to log in and enjoy the classes. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. If there are any questions, you can type in the chat pod, or you can write it, and then if not now, if it's a long question, I'll answer some other time. No problem. So, any questions you want to ask, you can also unmute yourself and ask. That is also an option. It may be quicker. All right. I'll see you all tomorrow. Sleep well. Om.
Thank you.
Om.
Thank
Om.
you.
Take care. Take care. Good
Thank you.
night.
Swamiji.
Shubharatrihi.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful to see all of you.
To 7 o'clock we have the.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Yeah, 7 o'clock meditation. Sleep well.
Thank you, ma'am.
Om. Om.
Oh, thank you
All
so
the
much.
best. All the best.
Thank you.